What's happening? I gotta adjust this. Maybe I don't. I guess it's okay. We'll stay there. Oh, we need more coffee, more water in the cup. Come on. Wonder if anybody's gonna watch. It's Labor Day. Most people have the day off. I don't have the day off. I mean, I could have taken the day off, but I didn't. Because I got work to do. Come on, coffee. Come on, coffee. Drain through. I want to drink you. Well, while that's finishing, I should probably talk to you instead of just leaving you to stare into nothing. Thanks for joining me. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Today is, there we go. There's the intro I need. Today is Monday, September 7th, 2020, Labor Day. My name's Jeremy, and my first cup of coffee is still draining through because I didn't heat the water up fast enough, early enough. There we go. The water wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. Wasn't ready. There we go. Come on. Can you hear the garbage truck going by? It blows me away that on holidays they don't change anything. They don't change anything with their routes. I think they only do, what is it, Christmas and Thanksgiving they change, but maybe not even those. There's something in my head about those 2 days. Well, I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope that, unlike me, your weekend continues today. I had a pretty good weekend. Some family time, some friend time, some work time, motorcycle time, outside time, gym time, tasty food time. Yeah, made a piece of swordfish for dinner last night. It was delicious. And the rest is going to go into, I think, might go into tacos today, but I don't think so. We'll see. Oh yeah, coffee. Cheers. I made that a little strong, but super tasty. Which one is this? This is some house roast blend. House blend roast? House blend from Costco. It's coffee. You have food. I gave you food. Well, if you're watching this and you've suffered through 3 minutes of me being distracted and not ready for a show, I thank you. And it's Monday, which means there's an episode of Martial Arts Radio out. Let's see what it is, and I can tell you something about it. You know, while I'm doing this, I'm working on another show concept. And if you happen to be someone who subscribes to the Patreon, meaning you contribute a little bit of money, I posted a video yesterday for all tiers talking about my thoughts. Here, would you like a mat of cat hair? My thoughts on a new concept for a show. I want to do a Patreon exclusive show. So if you're on Patreon, go check that out because I need your help coming up with a concept that you want. Because it's not just about me. I put forth an idea. Oh, okay. Mr. Matt State. This is a good one. Get your tail out of my coffee. Lay down. Mr. Matt State comes from Wales. He is Welsh. But he spent much of his time in, did he say London? Definitely he said England, but I believe he said London. So his accent is a little easier to understand. The Welsh accent can be a little rough at times. And we had a great conversation. I really, really enjoyed having him on. In fact, having Matt on led to some back-end conversations where we're trying to put together a round table around some topics that came up on this show. And obviously I'm going to invite him to come back for those once we have the concept more fleshed out. But this was a great guy. This was a guy who started in traditional arts, like all of our guests, and still teaches traditional arts, but also has some other stuff going on. And if you're at all a fan of the guests that we've had who are kind of in the, whether you call it practical or reality based self defense or real world or anything like that, excuse me, then you are going to like this episode. There is nobody watching live. Nobody. Man, they're all in bed, Zuza. I'm jealous. I've cleared most of my calendar today. I did a lot of work yesterday so I could do that. And today's plan, I got a couple things that I got to do, but the focus today is, last week I talked about the guide, the fitness guide, martial arts fitness guide that we're going to be putting together. I gotta get through that, and I keep leaving it for later in the day, and it keeps not happening because things keep popping up. Well, it's happening today. This is what I'm working on today. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna grab another cup of coffee and start on that. Susie, you have mats. What else happened yesterday, this weekend? I don't know. Not a lot. It was a quiet weekend. Helped family clean out some stuff at the grandparents' house. I ended up with some cool old tools, some saws and hammers and what else? Wrenches, like really good, functional yet antique tools. What's better than that? Here's an interesting thing that happened. Saturday, I went for a motorcycle ride, and I was excited for it. Had a couple paths planned out that I thought I'd go. Oh, somebody is joining us. And if you've ridden a motorcycle, you probably understand this feeling. I'm sure it comes up with other things, but something wasn't right. I wasn't focused. I wasn't present. It was off. My shifting was off. Everything was off. And so I got about 15 minutes away from home, and I said, you know what? I'm really nervous about the way I'm riding right now. This isn't safe. So I turned around and came home. Came home and hung out and watched some TV. And then, what else did I do? Oh, went to Burlington, picked up some things I needed up there, and just worked to not judge myself about that. That's one of the things that I struggle with, is self-judgment. I suspect we all do. It's not something we talk about terribly often. But on the same day, I gotta stop doing this while I do this show. I don't know. It doesn't bother her, and she doesn't groom well, so it's like, this is one of the few times she sits on my lap. A lot of my friends ride motorcycles. They ride often. They ride lots of miles, and I like to ride. I don't love to ride the way they do. A good friend of mine just bought a bike that costs as much as my car, and not that I have some extraordinarily expensive car, but it's an expensive bike. Beautiful bike, but that's not me. Oh, whether it lines up with this new show idea or not, I don't know. But I now have a space with a heavy bag that I can do some filming. So as we put together some things, as we put together some concepts for additional content, videos, training, I know where we can film it. And that was a realization I didn't have until yesterday. It's at the gym I work out at. There's a heavy bag, and there are times when there is nobody around. And I bet I could even reserve the half of the space that has the heavy bag. It's good lighting, good acoustics. We can film. So watch for some of that. Oh, good coffee. All right. Let's see what you all wrote in. Pretty sure I saw some stuff come in from Frank. And we've got stuff from Frank and from Stacy. Let's see what we got here. Looks like I got, 2 from each. Stacy starts off with, action is a high road to self-confidence and self-esteem. Bruce Lee. How do you become more confident? How do you anything? You have to take an action. There is no progress without movement. There's no growth without movement. You have to take an action. And maybe movement isn't the best word because you could meditate. Meditation can lead to some growth, but there's still an action there. Action is a high road to self-esteem and self-confidence. You have to start with an action. What is the action you take? If you can't figure out the action, where do you start? What's the first thing? What's a thing? Sometimes you don't know where to go, so you have to start in any direction and figure out that you're going in the wrong direction. Great analogy. Here's one. You ever been in a parked car with the GPS on and you're not quite sure which direction is which? You have no way of lining up which way is north, or it wants me to make a left, but which way of these, which side of the road does it think I'm on? And you have to start driving for the GPS to figure out, oh, okay, here's where you are, here's your orientation. It's kind of like that. Sometimes you just have to start in order to figure out where to head. And that's kind of for anyone who hasn't started a business, that's one of the big rules of business. You have to do something. You can't wait for it to be perfect. You can't wait. You can't expect you're going to knock it out of the park day one. It doesn't work that way. You're going to screw up more than you're going to succeed. But as you screw up, you figure out what not to do, and you move forward. Second one from Stacy. Do not permit the events of your daily lives to bind you, but never withdraw yourself from them. Huang Po. Do not permit the events of your daily lives to bind you, but never withdraw yourselves from them. I would say that another way as, don't get bogged down in where you are, but don't forget where you're from. We get trapped in these routines. Get up, go to work, come home, have dinner, get up, go to work, and then on the weekends do some hobby thing, and then you wake and you put your dreams on hold, and 30, 40, 50 years goes by and you say, oh man, I wish I'd tried this. I have regrets, but trying things isn't going to be one of them. I have done just about everything I've wanted to do. I've found a way. It's not always easy. There's always a way. There's what's the book? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a pretty famous book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's a good read. Reads easily. But in that book, one of the differences the rich dad says to his kids, if you want something, figure out how to get it. You don't say, I can't afford that, or we can't afford that. Say, how can I afford that? How can you make that happen? It's a much healthier attitude. If you want anything, figure out a way to get it. Don't just instantly dismiss it. There is always a way. There might be consequences to the choice or the method, but there's always a way. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to win in a competition? How badly do you want your next rank? How badly do you want to progress? Maybe you're making some sacrifices. That's really good coffee. Are the sacrifices worth it? I don't know. That's up to you. A couple things from Frank. If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. Thomas Rees. It blows me away the amount of money, time, effort people are okay spending on dealing with illness, and they will not spend time, money, or effort on their health. It's less expensive. It's far less expensive. It takes less time, takes less effort, takes far less money. But here we are. I'm a firm believer that the actions we take in daily life can be constructed in such a way that lead to health and maintain health. And they don't have to be complicated. Walking, being outside, getting sunlight, drinking good water. By the way, chlorinated water is not good water. If your water comes from a city system and it has chlorine in it, you should be drinking other water. Just flat out. Eating good food and a variety of good food. Finding things that make you happy. Being around other people who make you happy. It's not easy, but it is simple. It just takes time. Right? And then the last quote today, which Frank is attributing to me, but it's not my quote. Follow the rules, but don't lose your passion. And he's crediting that to Jeremy Lesniak Consulting, which is my consulting business. I'm sure that came up on our social media. I don't run our social media, just like I don't run the Whistlekick social media. So I don't know where that quote came from. But forget all that for a moment. Follow the rules, but don't lose your passion. There are different sets of rules. There are rules you have to follow, like laws. And then there are rules that you don't have to follow. Cultural norms. Social expectations, things like that. You don't have to follow those. Sometimes it's appropriate to break them. Sometimes it's appropriate to break laws. Not very often, though. Don't believe me? Here's a good example. When a high school friend was in a car accident and the ambulance wouldn't let his mother go with him in the ambulance, she followed them. She broke the speed limit. She ran stop signs because her son was injured in the ambulance. I think just about anybody is going to be okay with that one, right? There are times when breaking the law is okay. Morally. Maybe not legally, but morally. How do I say this? This is one I wish I was more awake for. The actions that I take in my life are based on my own code, my own personal ethics, as all of us do. You have your own personal code of ethics and the things that you will and will not do. And most of the time, that code lines up with both the legal system and social norms. But what about when it doesn't? If there's something that I believe strongly in that doesn't line up with social norms, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Doesn't line up with the law? Probably. Well, it depends on what the law is. Depends on what the consequences are. You know, are we talking about a zoning violation at my house, or are we talking about, I don't know, unintentional vehicular manslaughter? Well, that wouldn't be. You get my point. I think you get the point. Sometimes you have to break rules to make progress, because rules are based on where we are, not where we're headed. You can find plenty of examples about laws that needed to be rescinded or changed because we progressed beyond them. We're dealing with some stuff like that right now. And in business, I have had to push some of those rules at times. Not the legal ones, social ones. I was the first, back when I had my IT company, I was the first one, we were the first ones I knew of who offered a flat rate, all you can eat, so to speak, computer service contract. We were way ahead of the game and nobody was ready for it. We sold zero. Put so much time into that. Nobody was open to it. Had people dropping $150, $200, $300 on service, and they weren't willing to spend $25 a month. Okay, that's fine. Convention, social convention might be the best word to use there. Don't let rules get in the way of what you know is right. I think that's the best way to express it. We all have our own code. We have to follow that code. That code is more important than the rules other people place on you. The rules you place on yourself matter the most. You have to hold to those. Those are your signposts. Those are what keep you happy and fulfilled and moving forward. It's what people respect about you. You do things your way. One of the things I've realized, I've talked about this a little bit. You know, I'm not coaching CrossFit anymore. That was not my choice. And through it, I've realized that people that I thought were my friends were not my friends. Which has sent me into a lot of exploration on who I am and how I relate to other people, how I engage with others. Oh, thanks. My voice is getting a little cracked. This is an emotional thing for me. I am not the most likable person. I never have been. I'm not a person who, I've never been a person when I walk in the room, outside of anything martial arts anyway, where people get really excited that I show up. I mean, dogs do, but that's different. But one thing I know people say about me is I'm incredibly honest. I'm loyal. I'm weird. And I'm okay with that. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And I know that I live my life in such a way that I would love to have a friend like me. I get people's backs. I am, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. I find a way. That's my code. That's important to me. Your code is different. Everybody's code is a little different. In martial arts, we talk a lot about code. In Japanese, it's Budo. What do you stand for? What's important to you? What, if they were going to summarize how you showed up for the world on your tombstone, what would it say? Mine might say something like passionate, loyal, silly. I'm good with that. I just hope it doesn't have to get written for a while. All right. I'm going to go. I'm going to drink this coffee. And then I'm going to start working on this guide. I've got to get this done. I want to get this done. There's some cool stuff that happens once I finish this. So I'm going to work on that. I hope you have a good day. I hope you, if you have the day off, I hope you're doing things you enjoy with people you enjoy. If you're working, I hope it is productive. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Remember, if you're a Patreon contributor, please check out the video over there. If you're not, consider doing so. You can do as little as $2 a month, patreon.com/whistlekick. If you've got questions, comments, feedback, whatever you want me to respond to, drop it in the comments below after the video is done. And I will respond to those tomorrow. Because we do this show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here on YouTube. Catch it later in audio. You can also support us. Go to whistlekick.com, use the code FIRSTCUT15, and check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio with Mr. Matt State. Thanks for watching or listening, whatever the case may be. And I will see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.